Going to be inviting someone on stage who is said to be a geek at heart, someone who is passionate about building capabilities and how we can best move things in an agile manner. Now, in his current role as Singapore's government chief digital technology officer, he oversees digital transformation across government agencies and he drives the delivery of innovative government digital services for citizens and businesses. Let's give a round of applause to Mr. Cheow Hoe for his welcome remarks. Mr. Chan, please.
Hi, thanks everyone. Why is it going? Okay. No, welcome everyone to the series of our StackX event. This is the second one actually. We had one 3 months ago focused on cloud. So you realize that we're gonna have a whole series of this, and each one of them are themed for a special interest group. And today we are talking about experience reimagined. And at first they said, let's call this customer experience or service journey. I said it's really boring. So it's really about how do companies reimagine the customer experience. And it's something that I think many of us struggle with. And I'm glad that we have a whole bunch of experts here going to talk to you about this. But let me just do by a couple of introductions. If you look at this slide, it's something that isn't from me, by the way, it's from Harvard Business Review. One of the things that you realize is that all economies goes through a series of value added over the years. You know, initially, very so-called underdeveloped countries focus on commodities, and then they progress to services, etc., etc. But you realize one thing today: the most value-added thing that you can do is our experience. How do you curate experience to make it personalized and relevant to people? Now, many people think that's a very easy thing to do. The reality is that it's not. It's a very difficult thing to do. But if you do it well, the value of your company increases significantly, the products gets better, and next question people ask is that why is government doing this? What's so great about government doing this? Government is not exempted from this. I think we are responsible for giving the best experience possible to citizens and businesses that we serve every day. So we are no different. We want to make sure that experience is at the forefront of what we're doing. And the next thing you realize, this thing's not moving. Okay. Like every company, we start very simply. Many years ago, government started with basically information. How do you provide integrated information to everybody? Try to break the silos and give information in a very so-called integrated way to every citizen. The next step got more difficult. How do you provide transactions to people? Now, I came from a banking background. This journey is no different. If you go to banking about 20 years, 25 years ago, it's about sharing information. And then e-business came about, e-banking came about, whereby transactions are consolidated. And you'll be surprised, as little back as maybe 12, 15 years ago, the banks couldn't even provide what we call a combined statement. You know why? Everything was fragmented. That's why. So integrating information, integrating transaction is actually very important. The next stage we go through was that about a year or two ago, we started talking about moments. Why moments? Because citizens interact with government at very specific moments of their life. And why is it important? Because actually, most of you don't like to come to government anyway. You know, why would you interact with government? You only come to government when something happens, like giving birth to a child, going to national service, going to university, etc. So moments became the third level of so-called experience that we are able to put together. Today, we are going to go one step even further, and I think Dominic will talk about this. It's not just about the moments. Every of us here have many moments at the same time. You could be the parent of a young child. You could yourself be looking for a job. Your parents might be getting old. So you got 3 or 4 moments each time, right? So we have to be relevant to the customer or the citizen, not just about the moments. So we are basically moving up the hierarchy of customer experience, right? And the experiential value will go up as we move up this hierarchy. So this is important for us. And you'll look at this chart and you'll find it quite interesting because a lot of people talk about what we call above the hood. You know, it's like a car. You look at a car, it looks beautiful, like a Aston Martin or a Porsche, etc. It looks great because of the shape of the car. But underneath that, that's where the real magic is, right? If you're not able to do all those things underneath that, you find that your experience will always be just what we call lipstick on an animal. Okay, painting lipstick on an animal itself, I was told to be politically correct. So um, we don't want just that. We want to make sure that the engine itself works. So our move to microservice was something very difficult. Most government systems in the past, or even today, are legacy systems. Trying to make them stateless, microservice driven is a very difficult process, but we are doing that. Young's team, etc., focus a lot on design-driven development. So design is from day minus the one, not even day zero, right? Design starts from them and it goes all the way to the end of the project and continues. So that's very important. Everything we do is data-driven. We have now reached a point where we don't care whose opinion is. Data tells us what's the best way to define experience. I don't care if the PM tells me it's purple is a better color. It doesn't matter if all of you prefer yellow. It's yellow, right? So it's data driven. The next one is a very important one. We were building monolithic systems through vendors for many years, but now over the last probably 4 years or so, we are moving towards full stack development. And I think this is where the ability to then be all things to all people come into play. If you don't have full stack development, you'll find it very difficult to move forward to really an integrated customer experience model. And finally, one thing that we learned very quickly is a unified DevOps and operations. Launching a project itself is easy. Making it relevant after that and keeping sure that the service level objective, etc., is met is really the most difficult thing. And building the operations behind it is everything. So if you look at this, you find that to be able to do this well, it takes a lot. It's not just about having a good development team and life is good. And because of that, as I mentioned about the full stack, over the last couple of years, we are truly moving up the stack to a point whereby we want to make sure that the professionals are handling the things that we don't have to do. Meaning that, do you care where your electricity comes from? I don't care. It comes from a power station somewhere, but do I control what they do? I don't. Similarly, computing power. I go to the cloud, I stand up a EC2 or S3, I don't care where it comes from. Ultimately, that is not something we do well. So we started abstracting the ability for us to a point whereby we just focus on what we do best, which is creating a software or application that's most relevant to a citizen. And that's what we mean by raising the line of innovation. Our innovation isn't about deep in the stack, it's really up there, whereby it's about dealing something that makes sense to all of you as you move forward. And I think this whole process took us probably the last 4 or 5 years, and the journey never ends. In fact, it just started. So with that in mind, so what we're going to do now? As I told you, Stack X, the word X here is like a mini event, very themed, very, very focused on a particular topic. But you know that in 2018 October, I think last year, we had this thing called Stack 2018. It was the first developers conference literally for tech people like you in Singapore. And we were surprised that we were able to bring in more than 1,500 people for the conference. And we had a really great speaker list of people. Now, Stack 2020 will be on 31st March and 1st April 2020. Now, this event will be much larger. We expect about 3,000 to 4,000 people going forward for this event. And we have already confirmed a whole bunch of very world-class keynote speakers. People like Martin Fowler has agreed to join us. Gene Kim, I think many of you have known, he wrote this book called The Phoenix Project, and he just launched a new book called The Unicorn Project. We got Will Granis, who is really the head of the office of CTO at Google and in Mountain View. He's going to join us. Armand Drager actually is a co-founder of HashiCorp, which runs Terraform. I mean, many of you who have used Terraform understand what infrastructure as code, basically. We also have Cornelia from Pivotal, and we are in the process of also confirming Werner Vogel, who is a CTO of AWS, actually. So you're talking about a stellar lineup of people that I think all of us can learn from, and that will be 30th of March to 1st April. Now, more importantly is that after this event tonight, we actually have a launch party for Stack 2020. So all of you are invited. Come join us, have a beer, talk to us, and there'll be discount given for tickets for SEC 2020, right? So I think it's something worth coming. You get free drinks, you get discount. Hey, what else can I do, right? So with that, I think we also want to so-called get the community to join us in that event. It's not about us presenting or just a bunch of keynote speakers. All of you can add to the event. There are many slots from panels to workshops to what you call lightning talks to fireside chats, etc., etc. So many of you can contribute. We already have a whole bunch of people coming in, proposing things they want to talk about, and we are happy to engage the community to do that. So with that, thank you for coming, and we look forward to a great afternoon with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chan.